to invest in your business, personal development, events, tools, and product. You cannot get a helicopter license unless you invest a minimum of $75,000 and put in over 100 hours of training. And that's part of your journey. Number two, sacrifice. I had to make sacrifices. Like one sacrifice I made in my network marketing business is I gave up. This is a hard one for people because most people spend anywhere from 2 to 8 hours a day in front of their television set. 2 to 8. Like you wake up in the morning, you turn on the TV and you're watching it for your first 2 hours before you even leave the house. That's just 2 hours in the morning. Then you come home and watch 4 or 5 hours of Netflix at night. Some of you are doing 3 hours, but if you were to just take 2 hours of the time you're spending in front of your TV, 2 hours, so 10 hours a week, and really focus it on your business, that would change your life. That's a sacrifice for some of you. For some of you, it's sacrificing some of your personal time with your family. You know, maybe right now you're spending 5 hours a day with your family and you need to, for a little while, you need to spend 3 hours a day with your family and spend 2 hours a day on your business. Sacrifice. I had to make sacrifices. I unplugged my television set right around the time I got into Excel. And for 25 years, I did not even own a TV. I gave my TV to Goodwill. Now I have a flat screen TV today. I've got multiple TVs actually. I do watch TV. I watch movies and I watch some sports, but not a lot. I'm not in front of the TV a lot. In fact, I went to the Best Buy about 10 years ago because I wanted a flat screen TV for my condo, and I told the guy at the Best Buy, I said, I just want to spend about $750. I want a flat screen. I don't need all the bells and whistles, maybe a 52-inch or a 62-inch flat screen. And he goes, come here, I want to show you something. You know what I'm talking about, Al, right?
Yep.
What do you do when somebody goes like that? You follow him. So I followed the guy into this really dark room that had leather couches, and there was a TV, a big screen TV set up there, and they had Shrek 3D playing on this thing. And he handed me some glasses. I put these glasses on, and it's like the donkey's coming out of the screen. I mean, it's like better than the movie theaters. The characters are all around me. I've never seen anything like it. And I asked him, I go, how much? He said $7,500. And I said, I'll take it. So
I remember that.
I wanted a $750 TV, and I walked out like 15 minutes later with a $7,500 TV. What did that guy do? He said, come here, I want to show you something. And I learned something about my business that day. I learned that that's how you get somebody to look at your business. Come here, I want to show you something. Today it's a message. Hey, can I show you something? It'll take 10 minutes. Or can I show you something? It'll take 30 minutes. Hey, I want to show you something. It may not be for you. That's okay. But I need to spend just a few minutes with you and show you something. Now this guy probably does that, I don't know, 20 times a week. And he probably sells one TV a week and probably gets a few $100 commission doing it. And maybe he does more. Maybe he does 50 a week and sells 2 TVs a week or 3 TVs. But going back, I kind of digress. Sacrifice. I had to make sacrifices. I got rid of my TV for 25 years. And that's one of the reasons I'm sitting here with you today. Number 3, fears. I had to face my fears. And I know your fears, I know they're real. And I know the only way to overcome them is to face them head on. And the more you practice, the more confident you become. But there's no way around this. Your fears will never go away because you're going to reach a certain level, your next promotion, you'll reach RVP or you'll reach MVP, and then there'll be a new challenge, something else that's out of your comfort zone. You'll get invited to do something that you've never done before that really stretches you. And like, for example, I'll just give you a perfect example. At the level that I'm at, you know, I've personally signed up in my network marketing career. I've signed up about 700 people. If you figure it out, it comes out to about 3 a month since I've been involved in the business since the very beginning. My current organization is 250,000 distributors and almost 1 million customers. And even today, I'm put in situations that make me crazy fearful, gripping fear. I'll give you an example. Like I can't dance like Pitbull. I can't sing like Pitbull. Pitbull is way more famous than me, but I was asked to speak at an event with 18,000 people, and there were 11 speakers. And I found out the day before I was going to speak that I was speaking immediately after Pitbull. So Pitbull speaks, he performs, and then I go up on stage. And that was kind of like, it kept me up all night. I couldn't sleep. They had little cutouts of Pitbull everywhere around the arena. He, you know, with his bald head and his sunglasses, and he's short like me, and he wears black shirts and black coats and black pants. So I couldn't sleep that night. There were 18,000 people. So by the doors open at 10 a.m. and by 6 a.m. there's already people in line. By 9 a.m. there's thousands of people in line. So I'm up all night trying to figure out what I'm going to do on stage, because I already had my speech, but that wasn't going to work speaking after Pitbull. So I Googled, what does he wear when he speaks? And he wears a black sports coat, a black shirt, black pants, black shoes, and his sunglasses. So what do you think I put on? So he's on stage, then I'm going to get on stage, right? Well, I get there at 6 in the morning, having no sleep. I'm leaning against this wall by the main entrance. I'm wearing a neck, a neck thing that says VIP on it, my backstage pass. And as a joke, a couple days prior, I wrote on their Pitbull just for fun. I wrote on the thing. So I'm wearing this name badge that says Pitbull. And I'm leaning against this wall. This lady comes over to me and she goes, hi. And I go, hi. And we start talking. And we have this great talk that I'm asking her questions about her life. She's from Amarillo, Texas, where we talk for 30 minutes. I learn all about her. And then somebody comes over to me as the crowd's beginning to build. Somebody comes over and goes, hey, Jordan, what's up? And this lady looks at me and she goes, wait, what? You're not Pitbull? I'm like, no. And she walks away. The lady walks away because I wasn't Pitbull. I thought she thought I was Jordan, you know? I thought she was talking to Jordan, like, oh, there's Jordan. I'm going to go talk to Jordan. No, she thought she was talking to Pitbull. So when I got on, so here's what happened. Pitbull gets up. He does his 30-minute speech. He's got his dancing ladies with him. He does some club music up there. He walks down off stage, like he's coming down the stairs in the back of the stage. I'm going up the stairs. So we meet in the middle. We're wearing the same clothes, wearing the same sunglasses. We meet in the middle. I get a quick selfie with him. I was the only one that got a selfie with him because he was in and out. And I was the only one that actually met him fast enough or like close enough to get a selfie. Took the selfie, walked on stage, and the crowd, I go, you guys got excited for a second because you thought Pitbull was back. And they all laughed. And then I told the story about about meeting this woman out front, and I called her out from the stage. 18,000 people. But I was afraid. Like it was gripping fear to know that I had to keep an audience I had to hold them captive with my talk after Pitbull. Imagine if you got faced with that. You know, most people can't even get up in front of a group and talk. They're afraid to do that. And that used to be me for years. I could not, the thought of getting up in front of a group, I wanted to die before getting up in front of a group. I'm not kidding you. So you're going to have to face your fears. And sometimes your brain will play tricks on you and make you think that you're not capable, or you'll get sick and you're not really sick. All those kinds of things. Remember Kenny Trout? Remember what used to happen to Kenny, Al, before he'd have to get up and speak? What would happen?
Yeah, he had to run to the restroom several times, and he was so nervous. He would just shake. You could see him actually literally shake. And
even puke backstage sometimes. Yeah, yep. This guy's a billionaire today. Spoke many, many times, but he was terrified. In fact, he'd hold the podium. We used to have podiums. He'd hold it. The podium would shake because he was.
His fingerprints are still in some of them.
What, Russ?
His fingerprints are still in some of them.
Yeah, his fingernail the marks from. Yeah, absolutely. So you got to face your fears. Number 4, practice. I had to practice the fundamentals. Listen, when you're going to be flying off a mountain in a hang glider, or you're going to be getting into a piece of machinery like a helicopter, and a helicopter is really not meant to fly. I mean, when you look at the thing, you're like, it's like a bee. How do their little wings get them in the air? It's the same thing with the helicopter. I had to practice those fundamentals over and over and over and over again in real life, not just in the classroom. Like I had to fly the helicopter, and practicing with the real equipment, not just in a classroom. You can't learn to fly in a classroom. It'd be like if I said, we're going to all learn to fly. We're going to all learn to ride bicycles. Let's say none of us, there's 91 people on here. Let's say that all 91 of you have never ridden a bicycle in your life. And we all get together And I have a class because I'm a really good bicycle rider, and I get some of the best bicycle riders in the world into the classroom to teach you how to ride. And we do a 2-day training course on how to ride a bicycle. You know all the mechanics of it. You know everything. You know all the stuff, everything. And now we go out into the parking lot, and you've been trained by the best bicycle trainers in the world. And I give you each a brand new bicycle, really nice piece of equipment. And you get on the bicycle. What's going to happen to all of you? All of you, if you've never ridden before, you're all going to fall 100%. And then you get on the bicycle. Some of you are going to quit because you don't want to get, your knees skinned or whatever, but you're going to do this. You're going to get on the bicycle 3, 4, 5 times until you can finally ride it. But it happens in a moment. And it happens when you get one thing. It starts with a B. What is it, Al? When you get this one thing, it starts with a B, you can ride a bicycle.
Belief.
No. You can believe that you can ride when you walk out of the classroom, but you've never gotten on the bicycle. You can believe it. You get on the bicycle. Balance.
Balance.
The moment you get balance, you can ride a bicycle for the rest of your life. I could take the bicycle away from you after you've been riding for 2 weeks. You can get on the bicycle in 10 years. As long as you're physically able, you can get on that bicycle in 10 years and you'll be able to ride without falling because you got the distinction of balance. That only comes with practice. It's the same thing in network marketing. It's the same thing in soloing. It's the same thing in a helicopter. But you have to get in the helicopter over and over and over and over and over again, even when you're afraid, in order to be able to fly it, to be able to hover it, to be able to do your auto rotations and your settling with power and your pinnacle landings and all the things you have to learn to do. Be able to talk to the tower and fly at the same time, understand airspace, all that stuff takes practice over and over and over and over again. For me to have the reward, the dream of being able to take my friends up and give them a view of Vegas from the sky. But I have to face my fears, and I have to practice, and I have to sacrifice, and I have to invest. Number five, soloing. At one point, you got to do it on your own. That's doing it on your own. That means your upline's not there with you. Some of you don't have an active upline. And you know what? That doesn't matter. So here's what happened. My first instructor was a guy named Travis. He was 23 years old. Travis said, today we're going to hover. We're going to learn to hover. Hover is when you pick the helicopter up off the tarmac, off the ground, and you're just about 8 feet off the ground, just in one position. It looks really easy. And a lot of people don't know this, but it's not easy. In fact, when you go to fly a helicopter, if you're going to hover for the first time, there's nobody. It's like being on a bike. There's nobody that can hover the helicopter without crashing the first time, or the second time, or the third time, or the fourth time, or the fifth time. It's probably in the range of 50 to 60 times before you can hover the helicopter. My instructor said to me, if you can keep it within a football field, I'll buy you a pizza. If you can keep it within a football field, I'll buy you a pizza. And every time I would grab the controls, I take the controls, we would be like 100 yards in one direction or the other within a second. And he grabbed the controls and we would be steady. And he made it look so easy. And then one day, and you know what he said to me? Write this down. He said, I can't teach you how to do it. You just got to do it till you get it. I can't teach you how to do it. You just have to do it till you get it. That's how it is in network marketing. You just have to do it till you get it. These are important lessons. So soloing, number 5, soloing. Here's what happened. I have another instructor later on. I'm not a licensed pilot. And her name's Tammy. Tammy's 40 years old. She's got 3 kids. And I was her first student as a new instructor. And we flew a few times. And one day she says, you're ready. And I said, ready for what? While we were flying, we were in the air. She says, and I'm flying the helicopter. She's sitting next to me. She says, you're ready. And I go, ready for what? She goes, ready to solo, land the helicopter. So I landed the helicopter and she got out and she said, now you go do 3 patterns by yourself. I'm like, holy shit. It's the moment of truth. The very first time I'm going to fly a helicopter by myself. Picked the helicopter up, did 3 patterns. It went perfectly. And that day I got a t-shirt that said that it's a special T-shirt. What they do is they cut the back out of your T-shirt when you solo for the first time. They cut the back out of your T-shirt and they sign, your instructor signs the shirt and all that. So I don't know where that came from, but that's what they do. So I got pictures that day wearing the shirt with my instructor of soloing for the first time. But at some point in your network marketing business, and it should be fairly early on, you need to solo. You need to go at it your own. You got to build your business on your own. Most of the time we'll be building on your own, not with your upline support. And if you're not doing that, it's holding you back. If you're not showing the business without your upline, if you're not doing that on a daily basis, I'll say that again, daily basis. If you're not doing that, then you're not building the business and you're not going to have the success that you say you want. Number 6, fundamentals. Write down fundamentals. There are things that you can't possibly train for, so you got to learn the fundamentals. And then what happens is when you have the fundamentals, when you get served the twists and the turns, the fundamentals will get you through. So like, for example, when you're learning to fly a helicopter, you're on a very, 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 very tiny berm, and you're doing very tiny takeoffs and landings. So you learn how to launch, you learn how to land, and it's that quick. You launch and land and launch and land and launch and land, where you're in the air for maybe 10 seconds. And you do that over and over and over again. You can only do about 5 in a day because you have to climb, you gotta walk the glider up the hill to get to the point where you can do those little takeoffs and landings. Then you go a little higher and you're doing small turns. And then you're studying the emergency procedures and all the things that go with it. But at one point you have to go from there to the top of the mountain. And then you lean on the fundamentals. So if you've been around the business, some of you have been around the business for 3 years, 5 years, some of you even 10 years, and you're kind of stuck, I would suggest going back to the fundamentals of building the business. Really, there's a lot of new technology that makes it easier to connect with people, but everybody's connected to everybody today. But the principles are still the same. You still have to meet new people. You got to build relationships. You got to you got to invite somebody to take a look. You got to show it to them. You got to follow up, get them signed up and train them, right? All of those things. Those steps are the same. They don't change, and it's all companies. But now we have social media and technology to be able to do a lot. Like, we don't call people to set up an appointment. We message them, right? It's the same thing. It's just we're doing it through technology. So that's fundamentals. Number 7 is growth. You have to be bad before you can be good. You got to be good before you can be great. And you have to be great before you can be exceptional. That's growth. You have to be on a journey of growth, constant growth. If you're stuck, it's because you're not growing. Number 8, faith. I had to trust and have faith in my instructors because they're going to save my life hundreds of times on the journey of learning to succeed. And, on your journey in network marketing, you're not going to die in your network marketing business. However, there's times where your upline is going to have to save your butt because you said something stupid. But it wasn't because you did anything wrong. It's just you did the best that you know how to do. Like, I had a guy in my organization that got really emotional with one of his downline, and his downline wanted to quit because he was so emotional, right? He got pissed at him. And you can do that sometimes, but you got to know when to do that and when not to do that. All right, so that's faith. Have faith that others have gone before you. Number 9, recovery. I'm going to leave a few minutes for questions, Al. Number 9 is recovery. Some of you know this. I know Al does. I was in a helicopter crash, and I had been flying for about 3.5 years. I had a few hundred hours. I met a guy who had many, many more hours than me, thousands of hours. I bought a helicopter. I had only soloed in that helicopter one time. We were at the airport on July 27th, not last year, but the year before. And this guy flew big helicopters. He owned a maintenance facility in Boulder City. He told me he had mechanics, told me he had thousands of hours, flew A-Stars, which is a real big helicopter, told me he flew them every week. I spent lots of time with him over 6 months. And I said, let's go flying. And we went down to the hangar on that afternoon. It was hot. It was 108 degrees in Vegas. Pushed the helicopter out to the ramp. We got in the helicopter, took the doors off because it was so hot. Started it up. I lifted it up. We were in a fairly confined area, and there was a 150-gallon fuel tank on one wall next to us and a fuel cart right in front of that. There was a wall behind us, and then there were some planes in front of us. And I lifted the helicopter up off the ground. We have our headsets on. There's dual controls. I say, you want the controls? He says, yes. I say, you have the controls. I say, you have the controls. He says, I have the controls. 1 second later, the helicopter tipped back. The tail flipped around and hit the fuel tank, pierced the 150-gallon fuel tank. The main rotor hit the fuel cart, and the helicopter exploded into a million pieces with us in it. And seconds later, we are both standing outside the wreckage of the helicopter. There's news choppers overhead. There's the paramedics are there. The FCC is there, and the National Trade Commission, not the FCC, the FAA and the NTSB are there. The NTSB and the FAA. I don't know where I came up with those other ones. And they're asking questions, and we're standing there. It was like a miracle. Like we had this dome of protection around us, because the helicopter was a heap of, I should have died, he should have died. It was a heap of twisted metal and crushed glass. It was just a pile, an unrecognizable pile. And we were standing outside, didn't get whiplash, had all my fingers and toes, didn't break my ribs, didn't break my back, which I should have. And if you read the accident reports, everybody that this happens to, where the helicopter's out of control, dies. And we didn't. I was given a second chance. And it was really, truly a miracle. Well, this guy that I was flying with disappears. The FAA says, where's your friend? We need to interview him. We need his flight certificate. We need his medical certificate. We need his logbooks. And he's gone. And I text him. I say, the FAA needs to talk to you. Where did you go? He said, I need to pick up my kid at school. I go, you don't understand. This is serious shit, Eric. You know this. You've got to be you got to talk to them today. Well, a week goes by. They're trying to make communication. He doesn't communicate with them. They contact me and they go, how well do you know this guy? And I go, I've known him for 6 months. My friend's known him for 5 years. He's a commercial pilot, been flying for years. They said, Jordan, he's never flown a helicopter in his life. And I turned the controls of my helicopter over to him with me in it. And he nearly killed both of us. And 4 seconds later, we crashed. You can't hover a helicopter if you don't know how to fly. So I had the biggest personal growth opportunity in my entire life. And some of you can figure out what that was, but some of you can't. And that was, my dream was to fly helicopters. That was the biggest dream in my life ever, was to be a helicopter pilot at that point in my life. And now my helicopter's crashed and I was just in a wreck and I'm frozen with fear getting back into the helicopter. PTSD to a big extent for months. So I had to get back in that helicopter, and I did it. I made it happen, and I still fly it. I flew last week. I took a buddy up last week. I've flown like 30 times since my crash. But recovery, Al, how many times have we crashed in our network marketing business? We didn't die. How many? Over and over, right?
Over and over and over again. Many, 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 many times. And people here are so fearful. I don't know why.
You'll crash in your company sometimes. Sometimes your company will crash. And you will not make it. You won't live your dreams unless you're willing to recover. Bounce back. So that's number 9, recovery. I had to get back up on the horse. Number 10 is dream. We've talked a lot about that. I just want to make sure that we leave at least a couple of minutes for questions in case anybody wants to drop. There's a lot of chats. I haven't been looking at the chats, but maybe I'll jump in there. Thank you for all that, you guys. Yes, I was truly being looked out for by God during that crash. No question. Are there any questions?
Jordan, you're a great pilot. I mean, we went around from here to the city with my son. Actually, we had my son in it, and we took the doors off the helicopter. We went out to Prump and back with my son in the back. He thought it was the coolest thing ever to take the doors off the helicopter and go over Vegas and turn around and start doing all. I mean, we had so much fun. So, folks, you know what? What's your dreams? You heard Mr. Jordan Adler. What's your dreams? Are you going to let somebody stop you from living your dreams? Go ahead, Jordan.
No, drop a comment down below and say, right, just one thing. What's one dream that you have? Put something in there, like maybe something that's a little outrageous that you don't even believe is possible. Drop it in the comments. What's your dream? One thing, just one thing. Go
And
ahead.
while we're doing that, everybody, I've got something. Hold on a second. While we're doing that, I have a special person I want to say hello. Jordan, we got Mary Nolan. Mary Nolan, where are you? There you are.
What?
Hey,
Mary Nolan.
Yes, sir. We got surprises for you today, Jordan.
This is like, this is your life.
Mary, take your phone off mute. She doesn't know how. Bless her. Mr. Bree Clemens, can you take Mary Nolan's phone off mute?
Love you, Mary. How are you?
Your phone's still on mute, Mary. Mr. Bree Clemens, can you take Mary Nolan's phone off mute? Is it a possibility? It's on her side. Okay.
Well, Mary,
if you figure it out, just chime on in.
just jump in.
You look so great. What a blessing.
Can you see Mary?
Can you type?
Can you see Mary?
Yeah, I can see Mary. I'm
Where is
looking
she?
right at her.
I'm looking for her.
I'm looking right at her.
Where's Mary?
Take,
Oh,
if you can't type, there you go. You're off. There you go.
Oh, okay, cool. Yes, no, I've watched
Oh,
the
there's-
entire thing.
Hi,
In fact,
Mary.
I told Russ I was having trouble getting on because I didn't have the link. He gave me just the phone number. And, you know, so then once I got the link, it was no problem. But I've watched the entire show. It's so great to see you guys.
Thank you. Hi, Mary. It's so good to see you.
I've missed you a lot, all of you.
Oh,
I mean,
Yes,
haven't
ma'am.
seen you in years.
we sure had some good times, didn't we?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Like one story after the other, right?
Yes, but it's been a terrific presentation, Jordan. I mean, it's just been wonderful. I enjoyed it a lot.
Thanks. You know what's crazy is when you know, Steve used to take us up in his helicopter.
Oh, yes, I know.
But I never had the dream. I never thought, oh, I want to fly a helicopter. I never had that back then. It just hit me years later.
At his ranch, we used to go up in the helicopter.
Yeah. I remember so Chuck it was Chuck and Jimmy and Steve. I don't think Russ was with him when he went and bought Lajitas, was he?
I don't know.
I don't
I
think
think
so.
We went there many times.
Oh, you went there many times. Yeah, yeah. And I know you've been in the helicopter many times, but when he went and bought it, you weren't with him when he went and bought it, were you, Russ?
We landed on the lawn of the Anatole Hotel to go to a celebration in it.
Oh yeah, crazy. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun times. Steve had a lot. He loved his aircraft. He had a lot of aircraft and he had these big ranches. And he sure was
loved his boys.
Yeah.
Loved his boys. And he was very generous too.
Yeah, 4 airplanes and a helicopter. And I remember landing in Dallas a lot, coming out. He'd have the helicopter waiting for me when I got off the private plane, and the helicopter would take us right to the ranch. And I remember the one time, I think Rush, you were with us, and I don't know if Jordan was with us. We're out there at one of his big ranches, like 6,000 square feet acre ranch, and we're playing liar's dice. Who ran out of money? That was Chuck. Chuck ran out of money.
Ran out of money.
Ran out of money. We jumped in the helicopter, took the helicopter into town, landed in the bank parking lot to go to the ATM machine to get some cash out, jumped back on the helicopter, came back to the ranch to continue our liar's dice.
So Steve spent $2,000 so that Chuck could go get $300 out of the ATM.
Captain
Yeah.
Fun.
This
Captain
is the
Fun.
logic there.
Yeah. Oh my
That
gosh.
was cool.
We sure had some characters.
Mary,
Yeah.
do you want to share a story, Mary, a priceless story, Mary?
No, not really. I mean, you've already shared them all, and I've, been with Russ. We traveled for so many years and did the schools, and I mean, it was just always wonderful. But Jordan, you just gave a great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
And those things that you talked about can apply to any business at all. I mean, whatever people are doing out there, they need to take those principles and put it to work for them.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Amazing.
yes.
So,
Does anybody
I still have the recordings, Mary, of the presidential tour.
Oh, yes, I have videos of all of those.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This was on film. This was on film, you guys. This was
Yeah.
before digital.
Yes, it's VHS recordings.
Yeah. I had him
I have
transposed on
dozens.
digital, and I put Al was on there. Al was one of the speakers. Like, imagine Al in his 20s. Like, he was in his 20s. And then Paul Orbison and Russ and Jay and Mag.
Yes.
And it was so funny. This was funny because I'm sure you remember this, Mary. So it was the same speeches. Everybody there were like 5 or 6 speakers, and everybody would give the exact same speech. And we were flying from city to city to city on the private jet.
Right.
So everybody would get up and give their same speech, and each person would have like 30 minutes. Well, what would happen is some of the earlier speakers would play a joke on the later speakers by telling their stories. So like Al would tell Russ his story. So then when Russ got up there, he didn't have his story.
Stole his material, huh?
Yeah. So the plan was like, we would all tell the last speakers, we'd all tell one of the last speaker's stories. So by the time the last speaker got up there, they had no stories to tell.
That was Phil
That was
Eckhart.
always me.
Remember Phil Eckhart? He was stunned. He didn't know what to say. He got up there to the podium. He goes, he's the last speaker. He goes, hey, y'all, they stole my story. I don't know what to say. And he sat down.
So Phil Eckhart, this guy, Philip Eckhart, if you met him, he doesn't speak in front of groups. He's quiet, he's shy. He always sits in the back of the room, like painfully shy. He'd sit in the back of the room, and you wouldn't even know he was there. And he'd let his team get up and speak. He didn't want to speak, but he would always get forced to speak. And he was so good because he was so bad.
Right. He was sincere, and it came through. I mean,
people laugh. Yeah, he was sincere. People would laugh so hard because he was so bad, but he was so good because he was so bad. I love it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for our illustrious panel today? Russ Nolan, Mary Nolan, and the great Mr. Jordan Allen. Anybody have anything you want to add or put?
Thank you, Charlene.